across this land right now. You are trespassing.
Sir, you need to comply and leave the premises immediately.
Tu et voi, tuatrendan ichitiit vakatsi kaung hiemgatvevan fonke enjoy tuan kwame. Toisiviet tuan bokij ban voiceover lienmach. Jodai kwang doidadisa. Doi charso tu chalam hepan. Kitch ban voiceover. The Willow Creek Showdown, Ihan 1. The day I closed on the place. I was looking for a clean break, you know. Fresh off a divorce that took half my retirement and all my patience for drama. I was 42, an ex-Marine, just Bob now, and I bought the ugliest, cheapest shack on the California coast I could find, down in a forgotten strip called Willow Creek. Paid cash $125,000 for 800 square feet of weathered cedar and glorious solitude. The real estate agent kept apologizing for the state of it, but to me it was perfection, solid bones, honest construction, and most importantly it was mine, with no strings attached, or so I thought. For exactly 3 hours and 17 minutes I had peace. I'd set up my coffee maker, cracked a beer, and was watching the sunset melt into the Pacific, feeling the barbed wire finally unwrap from around my chest. That's when the knocking started. Not a polite knock, but an aggressive, authoritative pounding that rattled the single-pane windows. Through the salt-hazed glass, I saw her, Brenda Sterling, mid-50s, khakis so crisp they probably required a building permit, and an HOA polo tucked in with military precision. She was holding a clipboard like a judge holds a gavel. I opened the door, instantly smelling trouble. "Can I help you?" "Karen Wilson, president of Paradise Shores Homeowners Association," she snapped, pushing past me into my living room before I could stop her. "You're the new owner. I need an immediate compliance inspection. I've already documented several street-visible violations. Your grass is 3.5 inches tall. Our standards mandate a maximum of 3. She pulled out an actual tape measure, and marched toward the door. I watched her measure a patch of native dune vegetation, which had been there since before she was born. I kept the fact that it was protected coastal fauna to myself. "Lady, I moved in 3 hours ago. The boxes aren't even unpacked. Excuses won't maintain property values, Mr. Thompson," she spat. "And that paint color," she gestured to the faded blue cedar with genuine disgust, "is absolutely not approved. It violates our terrestrial aesthetic standards." The arrogance was staggering. She moved through my little cabin like a detective at a crime scene, snapping photos of my kitchen, my fishing rods, even the driftwood sculpture I'd found that morning. "Unauthorized beach material," she muttered, adding a note. 10 minutes later, her beaten-down husband, Brad, shuffled up with a binder the size of a phone book, looking like a whipped dog. In a single, ruthless circuit, she condemned the font on my mailbox, the style of my porch numbers, and the shadow cast by my roof. When she finished, she clicked her pen with the satisfaction of a tax collector seizing a car. 47 violations, she declared, slapping the carbon copy into my palm like a summons. "You have 72 hours to correct or face escalation. Fines, liens, legal action if necessary." "I'm not a member of your HOA," I said flatly. The calm tone learned from years of military debriefings. Her face went from flushed to apoplectic. "Impossible. Every property within 5 miles belongs to Paradise Shores HOA. It's been that way since our founding in 2008. That's when my instinct, the one that kept me alive in 3 combat zones, started screaming. Brenda's panic felt too sharp, too focused. This wasn't about paint. It was about something far bigger. 20 minutes later, 2 sheriff's deputies arrived. They took one look at Brenda's flustered state and my Marine Corps flag, sighed, and explained to Brenda for the 6th time this month, they whispered, that HOA disputes were civil matters. As they left, one officer gave me a look of pity and said, "Good luck, sir. You're going to need it with her." Alone again, I went straight for the attic box and those yellow documents. My coffee grew cold as I poured over them. The original 1952 deed for my little cabin mentioned private beach access rights, from Lot 15 to Lot 67. The language was beautiful, written in flowing script. And as I cross-referenced the survey maps, the grim smile spread across my face. If I was reading this right, my dilapidated shack came with ownership of something much, much more valuable than the structure itself. The next morning, the harassment began in earnest. 23 emails flooded my inbox, threatening $9,400 a day in fines. Brenda had even photographed my trash can, noting it was visible from the street for 17 minutes, beyond the approved window. I typed my response carefully. I am not a member of Paradise Shores HOA. Please remove me from your mailing list. Her reply was instant. All properties within 5 miles automatically fall under our jurisdiction. Non-compliance will result in daily fines of $200 per violation. She was literally trying to bankrupt me over curtains and grass. I called Tom Bradley, a Marine buddy who'd become a sharp real estate lawyer. Tom, they're threatening $9 grand a day in fines. I need you to look at this deed. While Tom worked, I went to the county assessor's office. Dorothy, the kind clerk, confirmed everything I needed to know. The records showed my 2 acres of prime beachfront were deeded in perpetuity and excluded from the HOA. She also confirmed that the HOA had been charging everyone $50 a month for beach access since 2008. That's $4.5 million. Mr. Thompson, she whispered, for access to beaches they don't own. The pieces clicked. This wasn't about grass height. This was about fraud, and my little cabin was the smoking gun. Brenda's harassment wasn't about aesthetics. It was a desperate, aggressive attempt to force me out before I could expose her multi-million-dollar scam. I drove home to find a circus. Brad was on my lawn, meticulously measuring grass height blade by blade. He looked apologetic, beaten. "She made me come, Bob," he whispered. "She said document everything or sleep in the garage again." The HOA changed her. Now it's just about power. But the harassment kept escalating. Health inspectors, building inspectors, and Brenda herself in different disguises. At sunset, her Facebook live stream began, filming my eyesore and declaring, 11 o'clock that night, Brad Wilson, Brenda's husband, showed up on my deck with a 6-pack of beer. He looked like a man about to confess a murder, trembling and defeated. "Bob, 15 years I've been living in hell," he muttered. "She finds her own husband for leaving the garage door open. But the prenup, if I leave, I get nothing. If she's convicted of a major crime, though, that voids the prenup." He pulled out a flash drive. 2 years of recordings, financial documents showing where the money goes. Offshore accounts, city council bribes. She was planning to burn down your cabin, Bob, just like they did to Walter Fisher's nephew 5 years ago when he started asking questions about beach access. My Marine training took over. This wasn't just a petty HOA feud anymore. It was RICO-level corruption, conspiracy, and attempted arson. I had to assume the emergency meeting was a trap. Brad confirmed it. Brenda planned to ambush me with an injunction and have me arrested for cyber harassment right in front of the community. But first, she had to try and finish the job. Darkness fell and my instincts screamed danger. I flipped on every security light and aimed a spotlight at the dune grass. 3 figures froze in the sudden illumination, one with a gas can, another with an accelerant sprayer, and the third Tony Miller, the city councilman who was on Brenda's payroll. My 911 call was short and precise. The men scattered like roaches, but my cameras, running in crystal-clear definition, caught every face, every license plate, and the abandoned arson equipment. I had filmed an attempted arson involving a sitting city official and a known HOA ally. The war was ending, not with a whimper, but with the clinking of handcuffs. The next evening, the community center was packed beyond capacity. 3 news vans were parked outside. I walked in and was greeted by a detective from the state attorney's office. "Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Wilson was arrested an hour ago. She'll be released on bail for this meeting, but she's wearing an ankle monitor." The energy in the room was electric, no longer fear, but pure, righteous anger. Brenda entered exactly at 70, flanked by her last 2 terrified board members. The ankle monitor beneath her blazer blinked red like a shameful heartbeat. She tried to regain control, gaveling frantically, but the crowd shouted her down. "Resign! Thief, give us our money back." Richard Blackstone, the HOA lawyer, stood up looking pale. "Actually, Karen," he mumbled, "I need to inform the board I'm withdrawing as HOA counsel and cooperating fully with authorities. Attorney-client privilege doesn't cover criminal conspiracy." Brenda's face went white. She was exposed, abandoned, and mic'd. Then the true leader emerged. Betty Henderson, the 90-year-old woman Brenda had fined for her walker being the wrong shade of gray, walked slowly to the front. The crowd parted. Her walker was now spray-painted neon pink in defiance. For 15 years you stole from us, lied to us and terrorized this community over grass height and paint colors, Betty declared, her voice firm. You made me cry over a walker, Karen. A medical device. Well, it ends tonight. The vote was called by Margaret Johnson, all in favor of removing the current board. 497 hands shot up. Opposed? Karen raised her hand alone. The motion passed 497 to 1. The room erupted. Detective Richards stepped forward. Mrs. Wilson, we need to discuss the $4.5 million in beach fees. Where is that money? Karen finally shattered. It's gone. Okay, it's gone. I spent it on making this place perfect. Do you know what this place was before I took over? Chaos. People had pink flamingos, Bob. Pink flamingos. Her ranting continued, detailing how she deserved the money for maintaining standards, until Detective Richards gently interrupted. Mrs. Wilson, you can't leave the county. Please sit down. Karen collapsed into a chair, sobbing uncontrollably, her reign over. 3 months later, the courtroom was packed. Brad Wilson testified, his voice strong, detailing the 2 sets of books and the shell companies. Tony Miller confessed to the attempted arson. The jury deliberated for exactly 47 minutes, 1 minute for each of my original violations, and found Brenda guilty on all counts. Judge Morrison did not disappoint. She sentenced Karen to 18 years in federal prison, full restitution, and permanently barred her from any HOA board. As Karen was led away, she mumbled, "But the property values." The war was finally over. My final act was simple. I officially donated my beach rights to the community. The beaches were free forever, as Colonel Fisher intended. 1 year later, the community threw its first annual Freedom Festival. Brad was back, divorced, and running a successful lawn care business called Grass Doesn't,